Though Stephen Gillespie had a full-time job as a police officer, he also took other work nights and weekends. The long hours were exhausting, and oftentimes his wife and kids were already asleep when he got in, as was the case on June 23, 1991, when he returned to his home in Edgewood, Maryland, shortly after 1 a.m.
At the time, I was working 3 jobs, and normally at that point, I would go directly upstairs and put my gun away. That night, I didn't do that. I went to read some of my Bible before I went to bed because church was the next day, but I was pretty tired. I don't know how long I was sleeping. I went upstairs to bed, totally forgetting about my gun.
Around 8 o'clock that morning, 7-year-old Jason headed to the basement to watch TV.
I went downstairs. I was watching all my favorite shows.
You went for breakfast?
Then my brother and my mom came down.
There it is.
Christopher, put that down.
I knew it was dangerous,
Put it down,
and
Christopher.
I tried to take the gun away.
You're going to get in trouble from Dad.
I tried to tell him to let go, but he didn't let go.
No. Give me it, Christopher. Put it back.
It just slipped down and shot him.
Mom!
Jason was screaming, and I started hearing Christopher cry. He had blood coming out of his chest. All I could think about was getting help.
Steven! Call 911!
I could hear Angela yelling up to me.
What?
He's been shot! Call 911!
I dialed the 911, and it sounded like somebody else was dialing the phone.
Daddy?
I just knew that if I didn't call 911, my brother was gonna die.
Members of the Joplin Magnolia Volunteer Fire Company were immediately dispatched to the scene.
Lift your gun out.
He went pale white, and every muscle on his face just dropped.
Knowing that your son had gotten shot as a result of your negligence, it's just a feeling of someone taking a shovel of bricks and putting them on your shoulder.
Let me get some towel.
I knew that I had to apply pressure on the wound to slow down the bleeding. He stopped crying, and he looked like he was almost going to pass out.
Stay with us. Look at Mommy.
I was just shaking.
Stay with
I knew until the ambulance got there, the only one that could help him was God.
It was scary because I thought he was gonna die there, and he was the only brother I had.
Volunteer EMT Chris Leverton was asleep at home just up the street when the call came across his pager.
I know it hurts, pal. Steven, that's all right. Chris. When I saw Christopher lying there, I just couldn't believe what had happened. He was somebody you see outside every day playing with the other children.
Yeah.
They're so small and innocent. You don't feel like anything should have to happen to them. They're too young to deserve that kind of pain.
Volunteer EMT Jeff Wainwright was on his way home from the station just a few blocks away when he heard the report of the shooting.
I know it hurts, pal. You're doing good.
The boy was very pale and was having trouble breathing.
Where's he been shot at?
When a bullet goes into a body, it's just like a ping pong ball. It can ride around in the body and do an awful lot of damage to major organs.
What do you got, Jeff?
Yeah, I got 3 ultimate shot in the chest.
He would move his lips once in a while, and he would talk to me. I wouldn't hear what he said. It was just really faint.
Christopher, can you feel this, babe?
I thought, is he going to just pass out and stop breathing?
What we're going to do, we're going to get a backboard on him.
Christopher lost a lot of blood.
An adult can compensate for blood loss a lot longer than a child can. We had to get him to a trauma center as quickly as possible.
The closest trauma center was more than 40 miles away, so Christopher was transferred to a medevac helicopter to be taken to Johns Hopkins Children's Center. He was admitted under the care of pediatric surgeon Chuck Patus.
3-year-old shot at close range.
He had a sucking chest wound. What that means is there was an injury to the lung underneath, which is allowing things to move back and forth as he breathed in.
They have major vessel injury.
We had no idea where this bullet had wandered. We needed to get to the operating room as soon as we could.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? I love you.
And you could just see his lips move, and he said, I love you. But you couldn't hear him say it.
Take care, all right? Okay, let's go.
And I just fell apart after that. And because of my negligence, I might not see my son again.
I knew Christopher was in the best of care. My greatest fear was between both Jason and Stephen putting so much guilt upon themselves. The hardest part would be picking up the pieces. I love you.
Ready?
Christopher has completely recovered from the injuries he suffered in the shooting.
Good try.
Christopher is as rambunctious as he was back then. I see his fingerprints on the walls, and I kind of smiled.
Ready?
Because I know I've really been blessed.
Cool. My brother shot me in the stomach. And I started here. I went on the helicopter. I went going around. Going around. And flying up the air.
Go, go,
And the doctor fixed me.
Christopher was a very lucky child. Being shot at very close range could have resulted in a number of injuries that could have killed him right at the scene.
The hardest part was that it didn't have to be this way, you know. You always go back to the beginning. I can probably remember maybe one other time that I'd go directly upstairs and store my gun out of all the times that I've come in the house.
This can happen in any town, right down the street from anybody.
There you go. There we go.
It's very important for parents to know that they've got to teach their children at a young age about the dangers of guns.
Kids should know not to play with real guns. You can kill somebody.
Right to him. Right to him.
The happiest thing about this is my brother's back and I get to play with him again. I try to take care of him now. I love my brother a lot.